And what's happening, guys? Welcome along to another episode of the 420 News. It is, what day of the week is it, guys? Friday, isn't it? It is none other than Friday-High-Day, guys. Hopefully everybody is nice and high out there. If not, I hope you got a good excuse as to why you're not. Oh, yes. Let's get some housekeeping crap in order. Better open up the stream there so I can keep an eye on the old chat box. Make sure we don't get any trolls in there. Even though we got plenty of hammers out there anyway to make sure that the hot box is kept nice and non-hostile, I suppose. Peaceful. Nice, that's opened up there now as well. So we've got the live studio there as well. So how's everybody doing? How's everybody's week gone? Did you all have a good Paddy's Day yesterday? Did you get out there and enjoy the old St. Patty's Day? Spark up a few St. Fatties. Got me old bong at the ready here, actually. Or no, it's not ready. Bowl is cleaned, but it's not packed. What's happening? See a few of you out in the audience there already. Billy Bonds, what's going on, Billy? Sean is out in the audience as well. We got Hunter. Whoop, whop, whop, whoop. What's going on? Ashlyn Hudson, John Finnegan. What's going on, Johnny boy? Oh, good lord. If only I could share with you as to what this smell is like inside in the grinder right now. Absolutely delicious is what it is. Yes. So guys, a reminder to you wonderful people out there, we're back in court next week, the Wednesday, the 23rd of March. Got to go down to Dungarvan court and face the judge for my crime of having one cannabis joint. So that's something to look forward to next week. That's Wednesday the 23rd. Now keep in mind, you all know that I recently had COVID and all of that crack. Went down and got the PCR test and all of that crack as well, confirmed it. So now at least I'm going to have my recovery pass to go travelling around the place and all of that. But apparently I'm supposed to isolate now for the next week or so as per the HSE recommendations. So apparently I'm not supposed to go to court next Wednesday. So I'll have to see what the story is with that. I'll have to reach out to the courts and see if it's important enough. You know, is it worth risking all your safety, guys, for me to come down there with me big, strong old rebel Cork COVID? I don't know, the old Waterford immune systems, the poor creatures down in Dungarvan, the district court, be able for it, you know. Hunter says, in Martin's World, didn't realise the post office is closed today. Might as well just bring that parcel with me to Dungarvan next week, lad. I'll bring that fiver for you with me too. No panic at all, Hunter, man. Yeah, there's like an extra long weekend here, isn't it? Because of Paddy's Day yesterday, they're going to keep stuff closed then today on the Friday. Oh, well. Yeah, well, no rush anyway, as I said, Hunter, and most appreciated. Daily Toker joining the hot box there as well. What's happening, Daily Toker? Says, just sit down for a sec while making food and see what a nice surprise. Oh, you see this? You got a notification to say we're live. Friday-High-Day, guys. Let's blaze one up. And then we get stuck into the old news. As we need to be getting through this a bit more promptly. Getting too waffly, aren't I? Reading out too many of your comments, guys. It's all your fault in the hot box. Yummy. What's going on, Amy and Laurie? See Amy and Laurie just dropping into the hot box there as well. Says, hi all and Martin. Hope yous are all well. And Laurie as well also saying the same. Hey Martin, hope all's well. Yes, doing mighty fine, guys. Just got an old bowl into me, so we're doing quite good. Oh, yummy. Give a big shout out to everybody over there in the Telegram WhatsApp or Telegram. The Telegram's 24/7 hotbox. What's happening, guys? You all know who you are, you wonderful people. I think we've got over 40 of you over there right now. Link is in the description down below, guys, if you want to join the Telegram 24/7 hotbox. Keep in mind it's a public open chat group, guys, so anybody can click the link and join. So do so at your own risk. But notice there's a great old community forming over there. Great vibes, lots of good conversations happening, and got a bit of an international audience there as well. We got Bobby, who's going to be traveling over there from New York now soon enough. Hope he doesn't mind me saying so. But it's great. It's a great old community. So click the link in the description. You'll be able to join that Telegram chat group, 24/7 Hotbox. Hey, Temple Grower's joining the Hotbox there as well. What's going on, Temple Grower, over there in beautiful Canada, eh? He just woke up. He says RSO works so good. Yeah, I've been taking the RSO actually when infused in a bit of coconut oil in little caps, and I have to say it's something to get used to. Right, you definitely do feel a bit more nappy during the day. Like, yeah, nappy. I suppose that even a word. Like, you want to take more naps. There's definitely a kind of that effect of it. But again, maybe it's just the plant that the RSO was made from. Who knows? John Finian says, God and news getting in the way of Martin's waffling. Miles Howard as well says, can't watch. I'm strung to death and all I can get is chav grass in this country. I was promised an ounce for Christmas. I think I might as well give up on that and can't grow any because I'm ratted out to the max. Shit, Miles, man, that sucks, dude. You gotta sort out the old rats in the kitchen there, buddy. You know, how UB40 song, got a rat in my kitchen, what am I gonna do? Well, seems like you've got a few rats in your kitchen and you gotta sort them out because they're spoiling your stew, buddy. Everybody should be able to make some lovely stew at home without the rats spoiling it in their kitchen. You know, in fairness, like, when you're making stew at home, you're not hurting anybody else, so what business is it of anybody else, these nasty old rats out there. Sorry to hear that, Miles, man. Yeah, I won't be hitting the bong for at least another 20 minutes or so, like, so you're safe there. I won't tease you. We'll get stuck into the news. You can share the plight with some other people who've suffered in this country as well. I think the first 4 headlines are some negative ones coming out of the Irish courts. Then we got some more positive stuff a little bit later on in the news coming out of the US. Oh, my apologies. We actually got one positive headline coming out of Europe, I believe, today. Some cannabis science, some cannabis studies, but it's good news again, for these fucking businesses, these biopharmaceutical companies that are kind of coming on the scene now, being traded on the London Stock Exchange and all that. It's great for their bottom line, but still, meanwhile, we've got patients out there being treated like criminals. So while I'll say it's good news in one light, I'll also say on the other hand, it's like, this is fucking shit. Like, you got people getting locked up over a plant, while meanwhile the same plant is being studied by companies that are producing these patented products that they can make millions, if not billions, off of because of the very nature of them. But meanwhile, if the plant wasn't prohibited, these products wouldn't be worth so much, because you or I, any of the rest of us, we'd be able to grow this plant ourselves out our back garden, using the sunshine, especially we're coming into the right months as well, where you should be getting your seeds ready, getting your garden ready. But unfortunately, we're being treated like criminals. We get locked up for doing so, as we'll see a little bit in the news. So one of the first headlines I have for you today, guys, it's pretty much just that, actually. It's a patient in Ireland being treated like a criminal because they had in their possession some cannabis, which was beneficial to their condition. Who is this that I'm speaking of? Well, this person has featured in the news in the past. It's the husband of the Clare, now independent TD. She was a Sinn Féin TD, but there was a bit of a controversy there within the party. Some problems arose there for this ex-Sinn Féin TD, now independent TD. But her husband, her partner, Jonathan, I believe is his name. John. Sorry, just looking for his name here now. John Mantain, 39 years of age, and said to be 6 years seizure free thanks to his use of cannabis as a medicine. The independent TD, Violet, she shared the story there recently within the I think it was the Clare, it's actually there, the Clare champion. So that's where this picture came from as well. But she recently shared a story of her partner as to how he's lost a load of his teeth over the seizures that he suffered in the past. And it wasn't until he started using cannabis oils was he able to get his condition under somewhat of control. Is the guy cured? No, he's not cured. But along with the assistance of cannabis, he can live a seizure-free lifestyle, which is great. But unfortunately, because of the illegal nature of cannabis in this country, because of the lack of access patients get to cannabis, John found himself in a situation where he had to break the law to treat his condition. So it's, again, one of these cases of, would you rather be legally suffering or would you be illegally healed? I know which one I would be choosing anyway myself. Like, why the hell would you choose to illegally suffer when, there's this law where if you break it, you hurt nobody at all. Nobody gets hurt at all. Like, there's no victims in this law, in this breaking of this law. So why would you not break it if, in fact, by doing so, you're going to better your own life? That's the situation all these patients find themselves in, such as John Montan. You have the Evelyn Corrigan. Who else is out there? Kenny Tynan's out there. You got Ava Barry. You got all of these people out there who are benefiting from their use of cannabis and to be patients, but a very small, very, very small number of them actually have legal access. Only one of the patients I mentioned there, Eva Barry, has got legal access. Kenny Tynan had legal access, but he had to rescind it because he couldn't afford it. He wasn't able to afford a costly prescription because basically the cost of his medicine was not being reimbursed because he didn't have one of the 3 qualifying conditions, which was, that's wrong. Like, it's wrong to treat patients like this. Keep in mind, Kenny Tynan's illegal use of cannabis is in somewhat associated with his now, I believe, cancer-free status. I don't know, is he cancer-free or is it just that the tumour, the cancer has not grown anymore? I can't recall. It was a while ago. We went over that news there. Kenny made that announcement, but I believe it was that there was no progression of the cancer, and like, given that Kenny was given a terminal diagnosis, he shouldn't be with us anymore. He should have passed away a couple of years ago, as per the prognosis given by the doctor. But again, thanks in some small part maybe to cannabis, whether it be small or a big part, I don't know. But it definitely played a role in keeping that guy alive, much like it's played a role in keeping John Montan seizure-free. But why John Montan's on the news here today is because he's recently been back in court. And he had to plead guilty to being a criminal for his possession of cannabis. And not only that, apparently he was driving without insurance as well. But look, that's of no interest to me. What's of interest to me here is this individual is using cannabis as a medicine and has been treated like a criminal for doing so. It's bang out of order, and given that his partner is a TD as well, you think that there would be a bit more of a kind of a fuss being kicked up about this by his partner, above and the dial. Why isn't this being brought up? My partner is 6 years seizure free thanks to using cannabis illegally as a medicine. Why are we not accommodating more for people in this situation? Why isn't, I don't know what the story is here of the TD and why she isn't speaking out about it. But the judge, anyway, in this case, found it to be a very serious crime, and that taken into consideration the driving without insurance as well, and adjourned the case to June 15th for sentencing, which is, it's just wrong. This guy's possibly going to be, I don't know, is he going to have to be doing urine analysis tests? Is he going to be treated like that? Are they actually, acknowledging the fact that he needs to use cannabis as a medicine? And the serious thing here is the driving without insurance. I don't know. I'm not too sure what the story is, but it's just inappropriate use of our authorities here, the guards, to be stopping and searching patients at this day and age. We know so much about cannabis now and its use as a medicine. We know that there's many people out there in our society using cannabis to treat not only seizures but chronic pain issues and many other issues as well. And these people are living in fear of being, targeted by the authorities and dragged through the courts. Loss of jobs, loss of licenses, and loss of kids even. You see a loving, caring family here. You think that father is any less capable because of his use of cannabis? A judge might try to persuade maybe the authorities that, hey, yeah, you take these kids off of this guy, keep the kids away from this guy. He's using an illegal drug. That's not good. But I don't know if, I don't hear too much of that out there, but still, you do hear remarks from judges being passed. In a recent case there where there was a mother up in front of him, he was kind of like, hey, you choosing drugs over your kids, kind of making that insinuation. It's like, what? But anyway. So that's Clare TD, independent TD, Violet and Wynne, and her lovely family here. Her partner, John, who was up before the courts, had to plead guilty as in possession of cannabis. Sentencing going to be in June 15th. So there we go. That's that one done and dusted. Another case coming out of Ireland. It's a case where a man in his 20s was found with €10,000 worth of cannabis recently. This was after the Gardaí gave evidence that they saw this individual in a red Ford Mondeo drive acting suspiciously above him to Tullamore. And when he spoke to the driver, and it names the individual here, a 20-year-old as well, quite a young fella, and they smelled cannabis coming out of the car. They searched the car and found underneath the seat of the driver's car, or underneath the driver's seat of the car, a black bag containing €10,000 worth of cannabis. So guys, if you're wondering how much is €10,000 worth of cannabis, well, that's roughly about 500 grams. Given that our authorities here value it at €20 per gram, then there you go, 500 grams of cannabis. As it's €10,000 worth of cannabis, I don't believe that's breaching the minimum mandatory of a 10-year prison sentence. But still, nonetheless, you got a 20-year-old here, got caught with €10,000 worth of cannabis, possible, maybe a 3 to 5 year sentence with maybe 2 to 3 years of it suspended. That's a possibility what the guy is looking at. In reality, what he's looking at now is months of suffering, the contemplation of suicide, it's like, shit, my future's ruined, all of this stuff. Like, the guy's only 20, got caught with a little bit of cannabis. Like, he's going to ruin no one's life. And now, possibility here that this individual, 20 years of age, is going to be contemplating suicide as a way out of dealing with this, because being dragged through the court, it's no easy thing to deal with, is there shame being put upon him and pressure by his family? How stupid of a thing is this? You really fucked up this time. They're going to lock you up. They're putting these ideas into a person's head. Are the cops doing that? This is really bad. Tell us where you got the cannabis from. Tell us who you're holding it for, and we can make this go away. Because you're not going to be able to travel. Your ability to get a job, all of this shit. They're really screwing with your head. I've been there. I've gone through this, so I speak with experience in this scenario. Anyway, he was up before the courts, and the case was adjourned until April 20th. Get that right, April 20th. I don't know that the judge is doing this on purpose. Shout out to Scott as well in the hot box if you're out there. He's also up on April 20th for, I believe, €5 worth of cannabis. Like, ridiculous. But it's ridiculous that the authorities our resources are being wasted in cases like this. This guy, all right, like 500 grams of cannabis. In reality, like 500 grams of cannabis is fucking nothing. It's nothing, in fairness. Like, you go through it there in one Paddy's weekend easily. Come on, I challenge you to it. Like, give me 500 grams of cannabis, and me and my buddies, we'll go through that. Not a bother. One game of smoke or poker there. Like, we make a few strong-ass edibles, and it's done and dusted. And nobody's going to be hurt. Like, maybe a few munchies mangled, maybe a few long naps. But that's about it. So yeah, that's €10,000 worth of cannabis above in Tullamore. A young fella again, his future ruined. Possibly ruined. What's happening? Podge, you see Podge out there as well in the hot box. MB Sanchez as well says our governments are definitely waging war on the common man everywhere around the world. Yeah, that's it. Like, because the war on drugs is a war on us. It's a war on the individual, really, because it's a war in our human right, I suppose, our God-given human right to choose, as to what we consume. Because what's it for the government? Who's the government to decide what's good for us? You see how fecked up they got the bloody that food pyramid shit. Like, wanting us to be eating cereals and grains 5 to 7 times a day, isn't it? And these things causing all sorts of inflammation in our body. It's like, but look, we won't go down that road as the poor recommendations of nutrition given by governments, because in fairness, like, when you look at the recommendations, it's the ones that are most convenient to them. the industries that they serve, you know, the agricultural industries. And what does that say then when they put a prohibition in place of, say, something like cannabis? And we look at cannabis then, and we look at our endocannabinoid system, and you look at actually, is there many conditions out there where we've got endocannabinoid deficiencies, where we're not getting enough cannabinoids through our diet as we once did in the past? And who does that serve? Oh, is there a load of industries out there trying to sell us back medicines to treat these endocannabinoid deficiencies then? Hang on a second, I'm going to take back off this tinfoil hat there. Right, back to the news. Let's get factual again. But seriously, the war on drugs is war on us. And you can't see it any other way but that. John Phantom, what's happening, John Phantom? Hopefully Florida's nice and sunny over there. What time do they be at all? It's probably early morning, is it? R&B is out there as well. Would love to see Kenny's podcast come back. Yeah, Kenny Tynan had a great podcast there for a while. I was sad to see it end, as well as I thought his voice was a much needed one there, because at the time, I suppose, I wasn't a full-fledged cannabis patient, but now, given my fucking epilepsy status, now I suppose I can claim that to be the case, because I am using cannabis now on a daily basis to manage my seizures. But when Kenny's podcast, it was the Cannabis Patient podcast. It was a very good podcast, in fairness. And I tried it. I always try to talk him into doing it again, but he's busy, I suppose. Busy focusing on himself and his recovery, but it was a great podcast while it lasted. Got to meet Martin O'Brien because of Kenny, so I always remember him for that. Dave Cavana said 500 grams is a plant. There you go, that's it. 500 grams is a plant. But a possible five-year sentence is also here in Ireland, which is unfortunate. You get caught with that one plant and you might not get that 5 years, but if you harvest that plant and if you get caught with it, and God forbid you get caught with it while it's wet, because those fuckers will wait while it's wet and they'll do you for every gram of that water in it. And we know cannabis can contain up to 80% water when it's wet. Freshly harvested cannabis can lose 80% of its weight over the drying process. If the cops if you're unlucky enough that they'll be just after finishing harvesting your cannabis, just after putting it all onto your drying rack, and the cops kick in the door here in Ireland, they're going to do you for every drop of water inside that shit, man. That's a heartbreaker. But the only good side, I suppose, is that all of that cannabis is going to go mouldy in their little evidence bags, because they're not going to dry it properly. And then when it comes to the court case, they could have a problem in their hand, because now they ain't got no evidence left. It's turned to mush inside in the bags. So it was once, coming against you, could serve in your favour, maybe. I wonder, anybody out there ever got away with that, asked for the evidence of the cannabis that they seized off you, and it was after turning to bloody mush inside the evidence bags because it was freshly harvested. I wonder. What's happening, Teresa, out there as well? Teresa, stand in your corner, young lady. Says John Finnegan, because she was late. As if you were never late, John Finnegan, huh? What's happening, Canaman out there as well? Canaman83 joining the hotbox, and Hunter as well. And that bot Malice over there on Twitch. What's happening, that bot Malice? Poxy nanny state. That's what they are, in fairness. Who was it there earlier? Oh, Mr. Miles. I'm just about to pack up a bowl here, Mr. Miles. If you're out there and you're still watching, maybe look away. I know you said that you were strung out a little bit, unable to source some good shit. I just packed up a bowl, so be forewarned, there's a bong hit about to come. Right, 25 minutes in, 2 headlines out of the way. I think we get one more headline out of the way, and I earned my bong hit. The next one that's coming out, guys, it's coming out of the Irish courts again. And actually, there's going to be a piece in a minute, and it's going to be Damien Marley speaking. And Damien Marley brought it up again, and it's something I talk about as well, that quite often or not, that the victims of the prohibition of cannabis that we see portrayed in the media are quite often or not male. Quite often or not, it's a guy getting caught with cannabis, because quite often or not, it is guys that start dealing it. Again, how many of you out there know a female cannabis dealer? And how many females do you know that deal cannabis compared to how many males? And I would imagine it's, the ratio is quite high in the male side. But again, quite often or not, it's males who get caught with it. But that's not to say that the women out there don't pay the price of the prohibition either, because, especially in America, it's very evident where there's families that are destroyed because the husband gets taken out of the picture because of the federal 3-strike rule. In America, if you get caught with cannabis and it's a federal law, you got this 3 strikes and you're out, kind of thing. You're in prison and you get some lengthy sentences that people will be getting for as little as like $20 worth of weed. Fellas will be getting life sentences. And who is it that pays that then? It's the mother. Because if that person has got kids, then it's the mother who's going to be left raising those kids now alone. Now disadvantaged, because that father, like, while he might have been a cannabis consumer, maybe even a cannabis dealer, he was a provider for that family quite often or not all of the time. Sometimes there's shitbag dads out there as well, like, got nothing to do with their kids, but quite often or not, there's very good fathers getting locked up behind bars, and kids then having to grow up without those fathers, mothers having to raise those kids without their partner there to assist them, to do whatever it is that a dad might be doing in that child's life at whatever time that it is required. So again, do we see these victims out there all the time, but we don't hear too much from them. But in a recent case out of the Irish courts, a woman, a fiancée of a man up before the courts for possession of €18,000 worth of cannabis. Now, keep in mind, €18,000 worth of cannabis, that's over the €13,000 threshold, where the person's supposed to get a minimum mandatory of a 10-year prison sentence. So this person here should be getting a 10-year prison sentence. But luckily for this individual, his fiancée showed up in court, took to the witness box, and pleaded to the human side of the judge, to show some mercy here towards her partner. Because he was a very important person in her life, and that she talked about how the person played an important role in the life of their 9-year-old child as well, and if he was to be locked up, it would be detrimental to that life. So the judge, seeing sense in that argument, suspended the sentence given, which was a 3-year sentence he gave to this individual. It should have been a 10-year sentence, but luckily enough, the judge only gave a 3-year sentence, but suspended the sentence in its entirety. But the woman had to take on a monumental task as well, because she said to the judge, hey, look, I'm going to make it that this person is going to be clean and free of their drug lifestyle, whatever that might mean. Because the guy was only caught with a bit of cannabis, like, all right, €18,000 worth of cannabis, but still, it's only fucking cannabis, like €18,000 worth of cannabis. That's 2 cannabis plants. If we're saying that 10,000 is 1 cannabis plant, then there you go, 2 cannabis plants. That's all it really is, like. But this woman is there, like, pleading with the judge, pleading for the life of her fiancé, for this man to remain free, to be out there, to be able to be a loving, caring partner as he was. I've no reason to suspect that the guy wasn't, because why else would a woman be there pleading for him if he wasn't? If he was a shitbag, I'm sure she'd be saying, yeah, take him away, get rid of him, like, he's a fucking pain in the hole. But she's not. She's saying, like, no, this is a good guy, he doesn't deserve this. And luckily enough, the judge did show some mercy, gave a 3-year sentence, but suspended it in its entirety. So this individual now is going to be free to love and care for his fiancée and his 9-year-old daughter. Daughter, I believe, yeah. So that's some positive news coming out of the Irish courts. The defendant does have to do, however, regular urine analysis tests to prove that he is refraining from drug use. Who's paying for that? I don't know. But still, nonetheless, it's good to see that the judge showed some mercy. But then you see that part of it, it's like, yeah, but drug tests, you got to do drug tests. It's like, well, come here, the guy was only using a bit of cannabis. Like, just give him a break, in fairness. Like, what? Like, we're going to have the stuff legal here. And some people say 5 to 10 years. I hopefully will just see it in 12 months, maybe. Wishful thinking and all that. So yes, one more headline then coming out of the Irish headlines. And this one I will pop it up on screen for you, actually. This is the case of Joshua Allen. It's unfortunate Joshua finds himself back in the front of the media again, but he's back there because he's going to find out in May if his suspended sentence is going to be reactivated after he recently pleaded guilty, or not really pleaded guilty, but withdrew his appeal. So he was after putting in an appeal on a 2-month sentence given to having his possession less than €300 worth of cocaine. I believe it was like €240 worth of cocaine he got caught with, they were saying. But he got a 2-month sentence for that. He appealed it immediately and was out on bail as a consequence of that, as the judge accepted the bail request. But now he's since, I suppose, after withdrawing that appeal, so now he's going to find out in May if the suspended sentence, which was, I believe it was a 15-month suspended sentence he has hanging over his head. It's a lot of pressure, you know, in fairness. Like, I know Joshua, I suppose not too personally, but when I was training down in the gym before I got a bit ill, he was down there working hard, in fairness. Like, he's out there doing some stone carving, he's doing some great things for himself, in fairness, really trying to get on with his life. He ordered they say €22,000 worth of cannabis, but it came from the US. And again, like MB Sanchez, correct me if I'm wrong, but what's a kilo of cannabis or 2 pounds of cannabis going to cost you in the US when you're buying it in bulk? What would you say, $2,000, $4,000? Would you say that it's anywhere near what they're valuing it at here? Which is, they're saying €22,000, which is about what, $25,000 or thereabouts. Like, that's not what he paid for it. Like, it's not. This young fella comes from a well-to-do family. Being able to get access to €2,000 to €4,000 to be able to buy in bulk, to be able to, you know, have a kilo of cannabis at his disposal. So it's like happy days. Joshua Allen, like, maybe he was going to throw an old party for his buddies and cook up an old storm. You know, maybe his mum taught him a thing or two as to how to bake a nice cake, and he wanted to treat his boys. You know, he's just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll splash out a bit of cash there, 500 grams there for an old party. You know, 500 grams, as I said a while ago, you easily do it with your buddies over the weekend, especially if you're baking it into cakes. So look, I hope all goes well there for Joshua in this case. As I've said in the past, he's got my full support. I've already extended an invitation for him to come on and have a chat here on the podcast some stage. Hopefully I'll be able to sit down with him and have an old smoke, maybe, if he's up for that. We'll see how it goes. Maybe he doesn't want to portray that side of him. We'll see. Maybe that's why he's been slow to get on the podcast with me, because of, you know, the way I do things over here. But look, Josh, this one's for you, buddy. I'm going to offer up an old poll there to the higher powers that they won't reactivate the sentence and you can remain a free man. And, you know, keep at it at the old MMA, dude, because you're doing fucking well, dude. When I was down there in the gym, watching him, man, he fucking smashing dudes down onto the mat, like, in you know, in a respectful manner. But he's a strong kid, and he's certainly got a future ahead of him if they don't lock him up and take his freedom and his potential away from him. You know, for what? Like, having a bit of cocaine? Come on, like, he's having a bit of cannabis. Give him a break. So that's Joshua Allen. This one's for you, buddy. And I know Josh watches this from time to time. I don't know, is he a religious watcher? But he definitely tunes in from time to time. He even showed up there at a few of our events in Cork last year. You know, given his fucking what was going on, I'm sure he would definitely welcome legalization and regulation. And I said as well, you know, as when it does come, people like Josh Allen, you know, given his family's past, you know, they're down there in what's it called? Ballymaloo. Yeah, that's where it is. I got a tour of that place as part of my herbal science course. It's an amazing property down there, in fairness. Like, they got really excellent gardens down there, really nice land. And they really know what they're doing, in fairness to them. Like, and if cannabis was to become legal in Ireland, I could guarantee you Joshua Allen like is going to be a brand name, you know. He would be a person who would really do well in the cannabis industry, given, you know, he's already got the land. His family has got the knowledge for working with the land, and I'm sure that's been instilled in him in some ways. And, you know, somebody like Joshua Allen in a different climate, it would be a well-to-do person in this industry, the cannabis industry. So I don't know. I look forward to that conversation with Joshua. Maybe he's got feelings and opinions there himself. Maybe once legalization comes, there will be Ballymaloo, Ballymaloo Kush. But down there in the lovely part of Ireland there as well. I don't know if you've ever been lucky enough to visit it. Just down there by Garryvoe, not far from the coast. Beautiful, beautiful old spot. Lots of comments coming in there. Who's out in the comments chat box? Oh, excuse me. Nice. Canaman 83 got a packing old bowl there as well. Hopefully that bowl is well blazed. Daily Talker says, only ever knew one female dealer and a couple of dozen male. Yeah. I didn't know too many. How many dealers? I knew one dealer, but she wasn't even a cannabis dealer. We used to buy her yolks off her. The old infamous Heavey family. We used to get our yolks. We used to fucking bang them out our front window. Won't go naming any first names, but yeah, enough said already. No, it's the Cannabis Activist Alliance Podge, CAA, Cannabis Activist Alliance. As we're an alliance of activists. And yeah, cannabisreform.ie, I believe that's the website, and that's manned by Scatnist, I believe, is one of the admin, or the admin over in that memory serves. Tret Wong says mids at bulk are $700 a pound. So the most you would pay is $2,000 to $4,000 for premium craft. So there you go. I wasn't far off. I was actually pretty on the ball with that. Talking like the premium stuff. Like if Joshua was to be buying mids, then what you're saying here is like he could have been buying a kilo of mids for about what? About €1,500. You'd be getting a kilo of mids for about €1,500. Buying that in bulk, you get that shit here to Ireland, and happy fucking days. Like, you know, if you're lucky enough if you not to get raided, because the stuff turns into about like 20 grand worth of product overnight, as per the valuation of our authorities over here, €20 per gram. Depending where you sell it, you're not really going to get that. Like, you know, there's people out there who you will rip off for like €20 a gram, but like that's 2.5 grams for 50 quid. Like, that's bad. Like, if you're paying 2.5 grams for 50 quid, you're getting ripped off. That's not really the value. But people have been paying, like, is it €100 for 3.5 grams of Cali? Stuff. Jan Phantom says, if I buy ground flower made from broken buds from True Leaf here in Florida for $25 per 7 grams, it's $1,600 for a pound. Anything better from them is almost triple at least. So was that like shake, I suppose? Yeah, shake. You're getting a $25 per 7 grams. That's not so bad, I suppose, really, but still it's not great. Amy Riley's waiting on the bus. Number 2 of 3 to Dublin. Had a nice day after the first one. Pretty baked at the bus stop. Yes. Yeah, nothing better than an old nice bus journey while you're nicely baked. Couldn't do it any other way. Crack up. Manfall says, I've paid for 2 grams for 50 many times before here in the back arse of rural Kerry / Limerick. Sorry to hear that, Matt Falls. No, man, that's a heartbreaker to hear it, really. 2 grams for 50 quid. Like, I've seen it. I've gotten ripped off for that before. I remember going to one dude before and buying a bag of weed, like John Phantom talks about it there. Ground up stuff, like, and literally in one of those tiny little Kappa bags. I don't know if you remember the Kappa with the 2 ladies sitting back to back, that logo. A tiny little Kappa bag. and it's stuffed with like pre-ground cannabis. And I was just looking at it, and I was like, if there's no way there's 3 grams in this, I was saying to your man, he's like, there is, boy, there is. I just weighed it. Like, I didn't even have a scales or not, and I was going halves with one of the buddies, so just gave him the 50 quid, and I goes, you're lucky you didn't go in halves in this, or I wouldn't be taking it off you at all. But no, there was no more than 2 grams in it, like, and I paid 50 quid for it at that time, and that was back when my fucking cousin Ozzy was alive and everything at that time. 2010, I suppose, maybe. Quite a while back now. But yeah, man, that was, it's not good, not good. Like, you should, like, when you think about it, like, you're getting thyme, oregano, rosemary, like, you're getting like 25 grams of that stuff in a little glass jar, and you're paying like €1 or 2 in the supermarket for it. Why is cannabis costing any more? You grow cannabis as easily as you can grow thyme or oregano, in fairness. Like, in fact, you could probably grow it more easily than those things. I don't know, maybe I'm not too sure, but like, surely the price should be in around the same range, that you should be getting like fucking 25 grams of cannabis for like more than $10 or something like that. Because it's a fucking plant at the end of the day. If you grow it effectively using the sunshine, if you're not using all of these high pressure sodium lights and consuming all of that electricity to really maximize efficiency, if you just really maximize efficiency in a natural way, sunlight, organic freaking chemistry below the soil, and maybe some genetics then in terms of like autoflowers, like that's the way forward, I reckon, you know, in terms of getting the price of the product down. Outdoor, high quality, well bred autoflower varieties, getting like 2 to 3 harvests in a grow season, depending on where you're at. Certain regions you might get more, but you know, like the photo period stuff is great and all of that, like, but I really think that the autoflower is probably where the industry is going to be going. I can see it happening already, like the autoflower, like genetic marker, whatever that word is. That's already like been exploited and inserted into cannabis genetic strains in order to kind of, you know, get them to flower sooner. That's happening. It's coming. It's all coming. Right, let's get back into the news. Excuse me. As we go from Ireland to the UK. We're over in the UK. There's been a cannabis dealer after being intercepted, I suppose, by the authorities. They raided his property. This guy is 29 years of age. He's named here in the article. We'll just call him. Call him Jack. That's actually his name. Jack's 29, coming out of Cheshire, over in the UK, and he got sentenced to 5 years and 3 months at Liverpool's Crown Court after he was found guilty for his part in operating an online cannabis edible empire, I suppose. The guy was basically had a property when the police raided it in February of 2021. Apparently every room in the house was being used in some part for the operation of infusing cannabis edibles, packaging them and posting them out. The cops believe that the guy was making about £50,000. It doesn't say how often he was making £50,000. They're just saying that they reckon he amassed about £50,000 in ill-gotten gains. They said that he was spending thousands on printed labels for the products he was selling. But they're saying all of the incredible effort he put into the business will be for nothing as he faces time now behind bars. And 5.5 years too, like, it's quite a lengthy sentence in fairness. Like, hopefully he's going to appeal it and maybe gets less, like, because come on, in fairness, like, unless they caught the guy with a load of dirty old spice or something like that, you know, and he was really taking advantage of people, like, you know, it's just like, come on, the guy's selling some cannabis fucking edibles. Again, this is going to be legal over there in the UK probably sooner than it is going to be here in Ireland. I don't know. But again, you know, this guy's getting 5.5 years. Let's say it's going to be legal over there in the next 3 to 4 years. This guy's going to be fucking, like, you know, he's going to be still behind bars possibly if he doesn't get out and you know, early release and what have you. And then meanwhile, over there in Liverpool, like, in the very same place, like, you got guys like Gary Hughes. Like, Gary Hughes is operating the chilling rooms at the moment. Again, I have to reach out to Gary Hughes. I have to arrange to get over there and to meet up with him in person and to experience it for myself. But apparently he's got an old cannabis type cafe, and it's in full swing, having old parties out there all the time. So have a look at him there over, and actually, just as I think of him, let's swing over to their Instagram. Chilling rooms, Liverpool. Any recent post? When was this from? 4 weeks ago. They have a chilling rooms new as well. Did their other page get pulled? No, that's even older posts. So there's nothing really new since the last time I went looking at his accounts, so we won't even pull it up. But Gary Hughes is operating over there. The chilling rooms, apparently, is it a bring your own buds affair? Has he got cannabis for sale? Again, I don't know. I've got more questions than answers for you, so forgive me. So yes, this guy, anyway, 5.5 years, settled out case. And another case then over there coming out of the UK. And this is a horrible one, really, in fairness. The Met Police have apologised. And I'm going to pull this article actually up because it's a fucking horrible one, in fairness, so you can see this for yourselves. Many of you might have seen this article come to your attention already. But a schoolgirl was strip searched at school while she was on her period. Because her teacher reported her to the cops as smelling of cannabis. Had the fucking schoolgirl just smoked a bit of cannabis? Like, come on, like, in fairness, like, no girl should be strip searched over a fucking cannabis report. It doesn't matter, like, in fairness, like, if she's got some cannabis, like, call the girl's parents and get them to come in and have a word with her, do you know? It's like, come on, you don't need to be strip searching the girl, especially while she's fucking on her period, in fairness. Like, London's Lord Mayor and all, Sakid Khan, he's shocked. He says he's deeply disturbed by this case, and he says he's extremely concerned by the findings of the report. No child should ever have to face a situation like this. It's entirely right that this incident is being investigated by the IOPC, and I will be following the outcome closely. It's absolutely vital that police service is able to gain the trust and confidence of all the communities it serves, so that every Londoner, regardless of background or postcode, can feel safe, protected and served. Because this is described as to be a shocking abuse of powers, and one which kind of has a bit of a racist roots, in that the girl who was stopped and searched, well, not stopped actually, she was searched because she was at bloody school, was a black girl. So they're maybe making an insinuation here that if it was a white girl, it would have been handled differently. I'm not too sure, but again, it is shocking that this case has come out that a child, regardless of race, colour, would be strip searched while on her period. Even regardless of that point, just a fucking child at school getting strip searched because they smell like cannabis. In fairness, that's sick. That's sick. And to think that there's prohibitionists out there who'll be saying, yeah, well, this is good, this is going to deter kids now from... No, it's not. Look, the London Lord Mayor was right. All this is going to do, it's going to shatter the trust and the confidence that any community out there affected by these laws are going to have with the police service, you know, with the authorities who are supposed to be protecting them. Because how can you ever see these authorities of ever protecting you if that's how they're going to be treating your peers or people within your own community? That's fucked up, like. So that's a very disturbing one that's coming out of London. So you can read this article over there if you would like. It's over on Mail Online, dailymail.co.uk. Met Police apologise after black teenage girl on her period at school was strip searched because it was believed she smelled of cannabis after a report finds it's unjustified and that racism was an influencing factor for officers. So that was the finding of the report. Horrible, man. Horrible. This is what we introduce into our lives, the lives of our kids, when we keep a prohibition of cannabis in place in our society. Again, you think about this, if the teenager smelt of alcohol, would they call the cops in that instance? And again, you think about it, if it was your child, who would you prefer that the school would call if your child smelt like cannabis or alcohol? Would it not be yourself? Would that not be who you would want them to call? Would you ever really want the school to be calling the cops on your kids because they smell like a recreational drug, whether it be alcohol, whether it be cannabis? Again, you know, it's We introduce so much fucking ill behavior into the lives of our community. Yeah, the people within our community with the prohibition of cannabis and other drugs. Messed up. So there we go. That's the end of the negative news. Thank God. I don't believe that there's no more negative news. Yay! Because the next headline, when we talk about cannabis and like we see these cases where people are getting locked up and all of that, having their lives, their freedom taken away. Well, this next headline coming out of Europe, and again, this is the one I talked about. There's mixed emotions about whether this is positive or negative. But this is a therapy coming out of Europe, or sorry, not a therapy, a study on a therapy coming out of Europe, where there's a combination approach of cannabis-based compounds in combination with mushroom-based compounds. Interestingly, it's kind of a partnership of cannabis with the turkey tail mushroom and also cannabis with a mushroom that's known as a bird's nest mushroom. So these mushrooms have got some compounds within them which have been shown to have incredible anti-cancer properties, anti-tumor properties, insofar as the turkey tail mushroom has actually been approved as an oncology-based treatment in Japan and in some other Asian-based countries as well. Turkey tail, guys, it's incredible. If you want to learn more about mushrooms, I would suggest looking up Paul Stamets and watching some of his videos there. If you want to go over, check out what I have available on martinsworlds.ie over in the store there. We have some reishi mushroom. We have lion's mane mushroom, actually out of stock of lion's mane, waiting on a delivery soon. And we also have the cordyceps mushroom. Going to start stocking the turkey tail mushroom maybe soon up there on the Martin's World website as well. But definitely going to look at some of these combination-based therapies with cannabinoids and mushrooms. Been looking at this in the past. I'm going to definitely return to this. I'm going to see what studies have been published in the last while. But again, this is a study that's been done on a proprietary blend. So this is going to be patented and put into a little pill form. So they're going to be selling this product and happy days. I'm not totally against capitalism. These people have a right to be making a profit and all of that stuff. But what really annoys me is that these fucking cannabis-based compounds is that they're still prohibited, despite the fact that looking at this like a cannabis-based colon cancer treatment is shown to be effective at killing 90% of the deadly cells. That's an incredible headline, and that's an incredible achievement for any plant combination-based therapy to be able to do, and it's great. And we're being told that cannabis is not a medicine. It's like, come on, in fairness, all right, this is a combination therapy with cannabis and mushrooms, but the combination was made after the bloody CEOs of the company identified, the studies and just put, hey, this cannabis is shown to be anti-cancer. These mushrooms are shown to be anti-cancer. Oh, let's put them together and let's be specific about it, and let's go up and make a product for colon cancer, because there's high rate of incidence of colon cancer because people have got shit diets. But anyway, we won't go getting stuck into that nutrition part again. But this is a positive news insofar that it's showing positive effects of the cannabis compounds in targeting colon cancer, especially when used in combination with some of these compounds from the turkey tail mushroom and also the bird's nest mushroom. I got the bird's nest one there now, and I'll show you this. Where is it there? There we go. Cyatis striatus. That's what it's called. It's like the bird's nest mushroom, because it looks like a little bird's nest. There's another cool little picture of it. Because mushrooms are the coolest things ever. They're actually even cooler than cannabis, to be fair. Cannabis is really cool. It's got really cool compounds inside it, but ain't got nothing on mushrooms. The world of mushrooms, because oh man, these mushrooms really are some super fungi. Yay! But yes, cannabis and mushrooms, great combination. So happy days from that study. Anything else of value in that study there to report on? Let me pull it back up. So this is, yes, the company that it's coming out of is called Cannabotech. So Cannabotech, C-A-N-N-A, B-O-T-E-C-H, Cannabotech. And their company now is going to be pushing this further. But some of the stuff that really annoys me about these studies that are being done, and I'll pop these images up here as I got little quotes from another article. A second, we'll get it up there now for you. So Sativex in the UK, they're going to be doing studies over there looking at Sativex in the UK, over in the University of Birmingham. They're going to be looking at the efficacy of Sativex in treating glioblastomas. And a glioblastoma is probably one of the more aggressive forms of cancer, in that like the average survival time is said to be less than, as they're saying here, 10 months. But again, you know, sadly, some people don't even make it like a couple of months after their diagnosis before they pass. But they're going to be looking now at a combination of Sativex with chemotherapy to at its ability to potentially extend the life of those diagnosed with glioblastomas, which is it's positive, happy days. Like, but again, you know, you look at Sativex and Sativex is great. You know, it's cannabis-based medicine, but I've got criticisms there of it. You know, there's better ways of doing it. Sativex is only Sativex because they were able to make a patented product because of the delivery mechanism, the spray. But if you were to even ask the researchers over at GW Pharmaceuticals, is that the best delivery mechanism? And they probably would say no, but that's the one we could patent, so that's the one we went with. But look, I won't go too much into that really. Sativex is great if you're able to get access to it. It's a costly product. I believe it's about €500 a month, as per what Russell Bantan informed me on. But again, you know, it is what it is. Look, I have my criticisms, but there's some good uses of it as well. But again, you look at these studies when they're looking at it, like if this study is to be positive, happy days, great news for the shareholders over there at GW Pharmaceuticals. If it's to be negative, great days for the prohibitionists. The prohibitionists will turn around and say, oh, look, cannabis, look, they say that it's anti-cancer, but look, they failed in this one. But then again, as I said, there's some shortcomings there within the study that they won't really talk about. And one of the shortcomings in these studies is pretty much this. I'll get her up there now in a second. But the quality of the studies is always affected. Why? Because of the quality of the patient that's used in the studies. This is an excerpt from the same article. But it says over in Europe, the University Medical Center of Groningen in Netherlands, there's a phase 2 trial testing the effect of cannabis oil on 20 liver cancer patients. And John, I'll stop there. You think that's great? Oh, 20 liver cancer patients. They're going to be doing a trial now. You're looking at cannabis oil and its effectiveness. Happy bloody days, we would think. But no, it's not really, because look at the next part. These patients are ones who've exhausted all other treatment options. What that means is that basically, like, if you were to be looking at a grade of patient in a study, right? You've got like grade A patients. These are like newly diagnosed patients. So that's like a grade A patient for a study. And then like you've got a sliding scale from that point, from a newly diagnosed, from a person who's diagnosed maybe a year or two ago and they've tried one or two medicines. You know, somebody who's diagnosed a number of years ago, they've tried like a larger number of medicines. And do you know, that's a sliding scale, you know. So a person here who's exhausted all other treatments is basically like the bottom of the barrel. And I apologize, you know, if you're at that point, but like in terms of quality of patient for a study, that's the bottom of the barrel. That was the description that was actually used by a researcher we had over in UCC back in 2016. Moses Garcia Abernankia was the researcher's name, and he was doing research on Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's and multiple sclerosis as well. And he talked about the Alzheimer's patients that they got access to. He said these were patients, again, exhausted all other treatments. Nothing was doing good for them. They were just on a downward spiral. He said he got them on the study. They plateaued them. They didn't get them better, but they didn't get any worse either. They plateaued them, as he said. But he goes, that's what we can do with the bottom of the barrel in terms of the clinical patients. He goes, what could we do with the grade A? He goes, what can we do with a person who's just started to be newly diagnosed with one of these conditions that cannabis is shown to be beneficial for? Why are we waiting till a person exhausts all other options before they're given cannabis as an option? And again, if this study is to come back in a negative finding and that it didn't do much for these patients, but hang on a second, nothing else was doing good for these patients either. Like, are we not going to talk about the elephant that's in the room? That the quality of the patients that we're using for these studies, that will then go on later on and say, oh look, it failed. Cannabis has not got any anti-cancer properties. And you're just like, but actually, those people were responding to no other treatments anyway. But this is a big problem with studies that are being done on cannabis. They're using the bottom of the barrel. Yes, 420. I see people reminding me out there. I see the old hot box getting battered. Happy 420 over there in the Azores Islands. But again, as I say, like until the quality of the patient improves within these studies, then the quality of the data coming from these studies, it's always going to be kind of hampered. And why? Because of this prohibition. The prohibition around cannabis, it limits the patients you can get access to, because again, look at this, exhausts all other treatment. That's exactly what the description is for patients here in Ireland. Just to get access to cannabis as a medicine, you have to exhaust all other treatments. Like myself as an epilepsy patient, newly diagnosed, I would be one of the grade A, well maybe not a grade A because I already consume cannabis, so maybe that muddies the waters, reduces the quality of the data that could be extracted from somebody like myself, newly diagnosed with epilepsy. But again, a person newly diagnosed with epilepsy, never tried cannabis before in the past, that's a great patient to be getting in and one of these studies to be able to look at it, compared it against myself maybe as well, but again, you think of myself, if they were after trying all of the drugs, I'm having fucking seizures all the time, is it the drugs that they're trying and they're failing? Or is it the fact that, like, I got an endocannabinoid deficiency? We'll never really know, because I have to wait till I exhaust all other treatments before I'm actually given access to cannabis. So, rather than go the legal route, I'm just going to bypass that and fuck it. It's illegally healed or, legally suffering. Which one do you choose? Am I a bad person for choosing to be legally healed? I'm harming nobody by breaking the law and doing pretty much this. Like, this is a form of medical cannabis consumption. Is it the best? No, because it's combustion. But is it effective? Hell yeah. So let's blaze on up. This is for all the patients out there, guys. Hopefully you're all able to get access to safe and effective medicines. May the herb that you burn forever keep you healthy. Again, I say this about my consumption of cannabis. It's not the greatest. Vaporization is probably a better way. Tinctures, oral consumption, always definitely better ways than combustion. But look, combustion is probably an effect of the prohibition, the legacy market. I reckon once cannabis becomes more mainstream, given 5, 10, 20 years down the line, the main form of consumption of cannabis is going to be in the form of beverages and, easy to consume snack bar type products, Excuse me. I would believe that the smoking of cannabis, even the vaporizing of cannabis, will probably become a thing of the past maybe in another 5 to 10 years. That like, it is going it's definitely going to die out. Like, it's going to be like that old thing, it's like, can't believe we did that. maybe I'm wrong. So that's some positive news coming out of Europe. Then we'll hop on over to America. Where in America, I've got a very airy headline for you guys. If you're easily creeped out, guys, this is definitely an airy headline. Mike's Bites, huh? Anybody heard of Mike's Bites? I'll pop them up on screen there now. I should have had this. Oh, I do have it ready, actually. Never mind. There it is. There's Mike's Bites. As I said, an Eerie headline coming out of the US today for you guys on the 420 News. This is a new cannabis edible launched by none other than our boy Mike Tyson. I'm gonna have to get Mike Tyson on the podcast. He'd be a legend to have on. I definitely have to get him in person as well, even though like when you listen to Joe Rogan say he was scared from fucking sitting across the table from this guy before his most recent fight there. But yeah, Mike's Bites. and why this is kind of so funny, if you're not figuring it out, like these are air-shaped edibles. And why is that important? Well, I'll pop it up on screen there for you so you can all see this. But going back over 20 years ago, I believe it was in 1997, this happened. We pop it up on screen there now for you. Oh, that's myself. Here we go. This is the one. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. So here's the boys. Oh, we've just muted. Oh man, epic shit, like. Oh, we'll have to get Mike's Bites off there. Sorry, boys. We're going to see a replay of this in a second. But Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, 1997, and the guy is still cashing in on the infamous incident that saw him get fined. He got fined $3 million for it, and he had his boxing license revoked for this. Mad.
1 point deduction for Tyson. It's here. Now let's take
1 point deduction. There it is. Like this is mad shit. Like, oh man, Mike Tyson in his prime. Watch out. Oh my god, man. Imagine me watching that shit live and just being like, did this guy just bite that fucking guy?
Well, this is like
mad fuckers, like, seriously, like, epic shit, like. But Mike Tyson had, funny enough, Evander Holyfield on his podcast, and all those years later, like, you know, they've since reconciled and they've made up, and they're now friends. Apparently they grew up together, so they knew each other as kids and all of that stuff, like. So I don't know, is there other biting incidents there going back in the past as well? In the podcast they kind of talk about it. I think Evander Holyfield maybe bit somebody on the shoulder in the past or something, so maybe there was a bit of a thing going on there. But mad stuff. But the boys talk about it. This is from 2019 interview, I believe it is, or maybe 2020 actually, it says here. But I'll just play this here for you guys.
I've been, this is so interesting, right? How many people have paid me money to take pictures biting their ear? I recouped my $3 million I was penalized for.
Wow. Wow, Mike.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. That's
crazy.
Why would you want me to take a picture biting your ear? That's just crazy.
That's crazy.
And they pay you for it. $250.
I mean, it's got to be
2,000 people.
It's got to be one of the most iconic moments in fighting.
Do people take pictures? They want to bite your ear or anything?
Well, you know, they asked. I said, I don't want to remember for that. You know.
Yeah.
I forgave him. I said, I forgave him.
I love that.
I think we're making some ears. You might be in business with. We're gonna make some holy ears. Some
edibles.
Edibles. Ears that got a bite taken out.
A little ear with a bite taken out of it.
Holy ears.
Holy ears.
We got to take a mold of your ears.
That's a holy event.
Well, I can do that.
All right.
It was just nuts back then. But life was crazy back then.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you.
So that's Hotboxing with Mike Tyson, guys. If you haven't listened to his podcast, he's got a very good podcast, in fairness. Hotboxing with Mike Tyson. That's the Evander Holyfield episode. He's had some great guests on there. Be Real, Snoop Dogg. Definitely one worth checking out anyway. But I had to find that snippet for you because they talked about it back then as an idea. And they were only, I believe, I don't know, was he only joking about it? He said he was going to call them Holy Ears. But instead of Holy Ears, they're called Mike's Bites. Mike's Bites, fucking epic shit, man. Epic shit. Tyson the bollocks and he can't stop eating the shrooms. Yes, Tyson does enjoy the old psychedelics, alright, in fairness. He's licked a few toads. Yes. But yeah, if we go from there then, I suppose, to another famous person, Damian Marley. Damian Marley over in the US has turned an old prison, Clarefield Detention Center, I believe it was called, Claremont. This is a picture of the inside of this old prison. Don't have any updated pictures, but I do have a video there I'll play for you in a couple of seconds that's coming out of CNBC or something like that. But it does feature Damian Marley talking about the business he set up over there in partnership with another couple. A second there now, I'm actually going to pull up the... There it is, yeah. It says what used to be Claremont Custody Centre in California is now a bustling business with cannabis grown in the gardens while staff make edibles in the kitchen and assemble pre-rolled joints in the mess hall. And what we see here is the old prisoner wing. But this is a partnership between Damian Marley and brother and sister team of Dan and Casey Dalton. It says they bought the 20-acre site back in 2016 for $1.4 million. And that nearly wiped out the local council's debts. So again, you see here, like the local council benefiting from the legalization of cannabis, because the legalization of cannabis within that area in California brought with it these investors such as the Damian Marley and this brother and sister team here. And when they made that purchase, they wiped out the debts. There's a fucking benefit. Like, what were the local debts about? Like maybe new roads, hospitals, who knows? But certainly a good thing. Because without the legalization, then this business would have remained underground, and all of that money would have been going to the benefit of the organised crime gangs, the Mexican cartels, and all of that nasty stuff. But thanks to the ending of prohibition in certain states, we're now seeing states making killing, rather than the prohibition causing a killing or two or 1,000. Especially down in Mexico, man, the prohibition of drugs had a devastating effect on the Mexican society. We should probably cover that in an episode in its own right, like, because it's a fucking wild story to visit what went down in Mexico. Horrible stuff, all because of prohibition. I believe I talked about it in the past. You have Operation Condor, I believe was one of them there. All under the guise of going in targeting fucking narcos, but in fact they were toppling governments and shit like that, man. Some mad shit. But anyway, so from cannabis, from a prison once housing prisoners who were possibly there for the very same plant now, is going to be grown there. Parts of the donations from this are also going to be going to support the Last Prisoner Project. So the business is organic extracts, sun-grown extracts. I have a picture here. Their product's going to pop up on screen. Ocean-grown extracts. That's what it was. So this is just an example of some of the products coming out of this place. What's that? Ocean-grown Tangy. Very nice. A little vape pen. So again, as I say, guys, vaporization is probably going to be the way of the future, replacing like combustion, and that then not too long going to be replaced by like edibles and easy to consume products. They'll just go away from smoking altogether. But this is kind of a really cool product because look, the best thing about this product is going to be that it's certified and tested. Not always foolproof, but I would hope Ocean Grown Extracts are doing a good job getting a good tester and putting out a high quality product. As I said, I do have a little video there that'll play, and it'll feature some of the prison and what they're doing there right now. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pop that video up. The video is brought to you by CNBC. Boom. Going to pop them up the screen now. Boom. There we go.
State of the Union is right around the corner. So it feels like the right time to check in on some of the campaign promises President Biden made on the campaign trail. One of those pledges was support to try to decriminalize cannabis on the federal level. But legislation that could do that by, for example, expunging records for possession or getting nonviolent weed offenders out of prison has stalled. In the meantime, you've got entrepreneurs in states where cannabis is legal, like Damian Marley, the Grammy-winning reggae star, trying to bring more attention to the impact that criminalization has on their communities. Halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles, a prison is finding an unlikely second act. Behind the barbed wire, a new cannabis company growing the very thing some people end up locked up for in the first place.
As Jamaicans, as a Rasta, as my father's son, we've always been advocates of cannabis. It's something we use daily in our life. It's a part of our spiritual sacrament.
That's Damian Marley, reggae star and son of Bob Marley, and a partner at Evidence, a cannabis brand that grows their products on the grounds of the Claremont Custody Center. They say the prison can help remind people that even while the legal cannabis industry keeps growing, it's still illegal in most states, with more than 350,000 people arrested for marijuana-related violations in the U.S. in 2020, according to the FBI.
We have replaced those inmates with 8 acres and a full-scale cannabis manufacturing facility. And we bag it in evidence bags, the same type of bags you would see in a courtroom. It really is a conversation starter.
They donate a portion of every purchase to the Last Prisoner Project, a nonprofit dedicated to helping nonviolent cannabis offenders get out of prison and have their records expunged.
But a lot of our family members get taken away from us for various reasons, and especially a lot of our male figures and our fathers and brothers and such forth, you know what I mean? But definitely with the fact that cannabis is now legal, we want our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated to come home.
For head grower Kyle Walton, the mission is personal. He says he ended up behind bars himself when he was younger several times because of cannabis possession.
Kind of just put into perspective how easy it is to go to jail for something that I think is normal. If I would have made a couple different choices, I probably could have very likely been in jail for weed for a long time.
Companies like Evidence could become more common. 18 states have now officially legalized recreational cannabis, and some of them, like New York, are including social equity programs in the legislation. New York plans on giving half its licenses to applicants from historically marginalized communities.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Green Thumb Industries, one of the biggest cannabis companies in the U.S., bought its own prison in Warwick, New York, investing $150 million into a cultivation facility.
We are here celebrating the beginning of our construction project where we are going to build a marijuana campus in Warwick, New York at the site of the former federal prison.
Green Thumb, hoping to be one of the first companies in New York to hire former inmates there.
I think what's important is, the full circle moment for the industry, for New York, and really for the country, where we take a place like this that used to lock people up for marijuana, and now we're going to employ them gainfully, and that's amazing, and that's great.
Our Jordan Winters producing that one. While the legal cannabis market is projected to reach something like $30 billion by the end of the year, there's one study from 2017 that found less than 5% of legal cannabis business owners are black. We're talking more about the future of the legal cannabis industry tomorrow. I will take you along to a tea party I had the pleasure of attending in California, where they take the tradition of high tea to the next level. I did not partake.
Boo. I did not partake. We just come on. Why are we such a square? Come on. You're going to talk about cannabis, go down there, at least partake in it. It's be assured you're having high tea with some lady friends. They've got no ill will towards you. They want to ensure that you're going to have a nice, enjoyable time. But again, look, she did a good job reporting on this initially. But I thought she just lost me there at the end. I was I did not partake. But look, it's good to see that these buildings that were once being used to house prisoners who were once there for cannabis now being used for the production of cannabis. But not only just that they're being used for the production of cannabis, but that the profits from those businesses, some small portion, goes to projects like the Last Prisoner Project, which is an incredible project going on over there in the US. If you're not already aware of the Last Prisoner Project, I've talked about it a few times on here. But it's definitely one that's worth repeating about again and again. Going to get them up on their Twitter there now. Last Prisoner Project. I believe that they're tweeting over there recently as to, I talked about it there earlier, a guy who got done for $20 worth of product. Last Prisoner Project. So give them a follow, guys. Check them out on their social media. They're on Instagram and Facebook and all of that fun stuff as well. Was it Gilbert Manning? Served nearly 9 years of a 17.5-year sentence for conspiracy to distribute and possess cannabis. Happy days. He was released this week. That's the job. I don't think that was Gilbert Manning that I was looking at. There was somebody else that they were talking about there not too long ago. And he was off for like $20 worth of weed, and he getting like a life sentence. Was it Kevin Allen? And Hillary Agro as well actually posted a very good podcast recently. I'm like 20 minutes into it, 30 minutes into it. I have to finish it there now at some stage. But she interviews a person who was, again, you know, he was snitched on. The FBI done a big raid on him. But it's well worth checking out. It's called Potato and something. What's our podcast called? I think it's up there. Bread and Poppies. Potato. Poppies. Bread and Poppies. That's the name of our podcast, and our first episode dropped there recently. It's well worth checking out. As I said, I'm like half an hour into it, and it's a really interesting episode. Daniel Moosey, that's the guy who got set up, and the feds basically done a raid on them while they were kind of distributing cannabis legally across state lines and all of this stuff. It's very interesting. Well worth checking out. But that's it then, guys, from myself for today. We got through all of our headlines, so that's all the news done. I pack up on my bowl, have a read through the hot box, see what's happening out there, guys, as I might have neglected it there for just a tad little bit. Hopefully everybody's being behaved and all of that fun stuff. Hopefully the hammers aren't swinging. MB Sanchez saying cop out. Yeah, definitely. I didn't partake. Manfoyle says, fucking hell, how much is a prison? What if we bought one, lads? Yep. 1.4 million over there anyway, apparently. That's dollars, so it's maybe a little bit less than euro, but I still ain't got that kind of money, have you? Podge85 says, happy to pack rolls and grow. Nice. That's it, like, you know, imagine that, like, you're once locked up inside of there for selling cannabis, and next year you're back there again, growing cannabis and making pre-rolls, and the profits are going towards an organisation to help get every last cannabis prisoner out of jail. Win. Yeah, Adam O'Brien saying, United States, only 18 out of 50 states have copped on and legalised, but not federally. Yeah, the federal legalisation of cannabis is an important one that still has yet to happen, and hopefully it'll happen soon. You know, they haven't got really much reason as to why they're not going to do it anymore. The arguments just don't hold up around the prohibition of cannabis. We can see now in states where the prohibition has ended, the benefits. And they'll still, the proponents of prohibition will argue, you know, oh, well, look, the black market hasn't gone away. But it's just like, hang on a second, it hasn't gone away because prohibition still exists in other states. So therefore now you're going to have criminals come into legal states. They're going to set up businesses that look legit or whatever, and they're going to grow and export it out of the state because, you know, it's legal in that state. It's like a misdemeanor if you get caught, you know. Yeah, no, I seen that alright. MB Sanchez saying it was the reporter who copped out Martin. Yeah, no, definitely. I didn't partake. Yeah, that was definitely a cop out. She probably got high as fuck. Just didn't want to admit it. She probably pulled a whitey. Made them all promise, don't tell anybody I pulled a whitey. Hunter saying, wasn't there a man given a massive sentence for a small amount of cannabis in America after his stepson was made to set him up by the cops? Yeah, there was indeed. There was some messed up stings over there in the US. There was one on an autistic kid. Like, did the cops like fucking made this kid sell him weed, and he didn't even want to sell him weed, but they insisted, and the cops sold him some weed, and they got him, done him. Sick shit, man. Is that all, man? Files? Yeah, not much out of reach. Lucky for you. You must have deep pockets, kid. Police status right. Whoop wop wop whoop. They made it illegal for the world. Yeah, but when you look at the origins of the war on drugs, when you look at the origins of the prohibition of cannabis, which pretty much have the same origins, it does have a racist roots. You go back to the creation of the word marijuana. Like that was never really a word for cannabis until the prohibitionists come along and they started using it for it. Like that was all orchestrated again. And then you look at how the war on drugs later on, in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, was used as a means to invade other countries, to topple their governments, because when you look at some of these operations, I mentioned one a while ago, I think it was Operation Condor. There's a few other kind of names like that, but they went in there and they targeted specific types of political groups, and they didn't target others. So if you were a drug dealer and you were of a certain political orientation, then you might have got raided, and if you were a different political orientation, you got left the fuck alone. Crazy shit that went on back there, like, you see some of it there in Narcos. It's mad. Derek Harris, he was a military vet. Worth of weed. I couldn't tell you the name of the guy, but yeah, I'm sure if we Google Derek Harris, we won't be long finding out. But still, like, to be given life, man, for $30 worth of weed. Come on, like, what sick kind of a judge are you, like? Look at Temple Grower off to the garden. Sure, rub it in, my lucky you. Soon here we will get that, USA pushed it on the world. It did, yeah. The USA pushed it on the world, and we're dealing with it now. Well, meanwhile, as you said there, 18 out of 50 states have legalized. I believe there's like over 30 of like some form of a medical access program. So it's crumbling over there where it originated from. And soon it's gonna crumble over here too. Again, don't believe the people who tell you 5 to 10 years. Just packing up a last bowl. Oh. We start saying goodbye then after that. So yes, we kept the stream a little bit shorter today anyway. We didn't go over 3 hours. Happy days. Let's blaze up one more bowl. This is for everybody out there who ain't got any. This is going for you guys. Guys, hopefully this will, see to a day where cannabis will no longer be illegal, when we no longer have to kind of cower and hide in fear and be treated as criminals and, accept it, such as the patient there at the beginning of the 420 News, and accept, that criminal treatment. Not guilty, pay no fines, protest everything, like, because this is a violation of your human rights. Cannabis is a medicine. It's an effective means of fucking dealing with this insane world, if you're at all sensitive to it, and many other things as well, which kind of befall us, as I said. And endocannabinoid deficiency is an awful thing to suffer with. So here's the ending endocannabinoid deficiencies all over the world. Adam O'Brien talking about Snowfall, a TV show, shows how the CIA ran coke by the tons. Yeah, wasn't there American Ultra? Was that not a movie about that kind of thing as well? All around cocaine and CIA, and yeah. Would you recommend Snowfall? Is it worth the watch? Should I stick it on my to watch list? Nice one, MB. Hopefully, MB, you were blazing up something nice there as well, or vaping something nice. As you mentioned there earlier, you like the vape. Question authorities, especially when the authorities are telling you something's non-medicinal, and meanwhile there's people kind of saying like, this is hell of a lot of medicinal properties inside it. You know, when somebody's telling you that something's like not good for you and then it turns out to be good for you, like, how can you ever trust that person again, really? Like, so yeah, question everything, even what I'm saying. Snowfall's definitely worth to watch. Nice one. And Pod's giving another thumbs up there as well for Snowfall. So anybody else out there wanting to check out a good TV show, apparently Snowfall is something good. CIA running coke by the tons. There you go. Need I say any more? Nice. So yes, that's everybody out in the hot box. Everybody sorted. I didn't miss anybody, did I? John O'Regan, what's happening? John O'Regan's out there as well. What's happening, John? Hopefully you're keeping him well, buddy. Anybody else I might have missed? Billy Bonds, nice, still out there, bud. What's happening? Think I got you earlier, Billy. Amy Riley's out there as well. I think I got you a bit earlier as well. But yeah, that's everybody. I don't think I missed anybody. But guys, have a lovely weekend. Guys, I'm going to start getting the finger out. I'm going to start organising some interviews there again soon. My apologies for not being able to deliver content over the last while. Again, with the arrival of my new son, with, again, some complications and other parts of my family life, I've just not been able to deliver in the way in which I was before. I was given a lot of time before, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I had to step that back. Alexis required me once she started going back into her practice, once lockdown started happening, once life started returning. So I'm definitely going to try to get the finger out, deliver a bit more content in the form of interviews with some great guests. I got some great people in mind. I know Temple Grower is definitely one person I'm going to be getting on at some stage. That's been meaning to happen now for a while. TG. Greenbeard as well as another person actually I've been meaning to get on to have a conversation with over the last while. And I've got a good few others there as well, not just the High and Homegrown podcast crew, but I've got many other guests out there in mind that I would like to be getting on, but I just, for lack of being able to commit, I haven't been able to commit a time. You know, if I have to do an interview Thursday at 4, like, you know, being able to nail that down sometimes don't happen because, again, as I say, I can't say too much shit without revealing other people's private information. But look, my time's required and it's hard to commit, but hopefully soon I can start committing again. So fingers crossed. Guys, love each and every one of you. Got over almost 2,000 of you out there, guys. So love all of you. Got like fucking nearly 6,000 people follow me over on Facebook as well. Forgets about that. Only gets one person watching. I don't know what the story is there, like how the numbers don't equate. You get 2,000 people on YouTube, 24 people watching. You got like 6,000 people over on Facebook, one person watching. What's up with that? I don't know, but much love to all of you guys who've taken the time to click those buttons and to add to those digits. Stay blazed, y'all. Keep her lit. Catch you back here same time, maybe Monday. No, actually, Shiggers. I got that self-defense stuff going on Mondays. As I said, you know, life gets back in the way. So I'll see you a bit later on Monday. But until then, stay blazed. Keep her lit. Peace. Bye-bye.